Welcome to tonight's topic, Becoming the Godly Husband. And this is part of our Studying Important Doctrine series, part 11 of 12. And I'm very excited to bring you tonight's topics. As you can see, we've got one packed webinar. We're going to look at some essential resources for digging deeper. We're going to talk about how to define a husband through word studies. We'll look at some key topics and verses related to husbands. We'll show you how to get a list of passages, check topical dictionaries. We'll even look at manners and customs. We'll show you how to search through the library, create collections, and even special phrases to search. We'll identify and understand the key passages related to husbands. We'll look at even some examples how you can discover the greatest successes as husbands and who are the greatest failures as husbands. We'll look at specific lists of warnings and priorities for husbands, how to go deeper for further study. We'll even take a look at illustrations and sermons and show you how to get information from there. We'll be getting practical as well. We'll even take a look at some applications, the 10 key attributes of a husband in action, or 10 key attributes in action of the godly husband. So this is great. And don't forget, this webinar does come with a personal book. So all the notes that I'll be sharing, all the links that I'll be clicking on are all embedded in this personal book that's included free with the purchase of the webinar. So I'm very excited to bring that to you. As you can see, it's a lot of information packed in tonight. So let's go ahead and get back to the presentation. As you can see, we're on the third Monday of the month, our October 15th. We're getting close to wrapping up the year and just about have my list for next year together. So I'm very excited. If you happen to have some suggestions for next year's webinars, feel free to email me at webinars@LearnLogos.com. Let's see. The new webinars coming in November will be the first Monday of the month, will be Mastering Your Library, and that'll be announced. So I'm still working through the details there. The third Monday, November 19th, will be Study Important Doctrines with Logos 4. And that's right, part 12 of 12, it'll be the wives' turn. And then November 26th, Pulpit Notes, Organizing Your Research for Teaching and Preaching. So we're going to talk about notes and clips and a whole bunch of other ways to organize your research for teaching and preaching. So feel free to sign up at LearnLogos.com/webinar. Don't forget, you'll be able to take the webinar home at 50% off at $4.99. And if you haven't had a chance to purchase those training CDs, please take advantage of those. I like to say that this is a great complement to the training webinars. In the webinars, we're focused on a topic. We're going to show you various features, but the training disc will walk you through everything, and it is the most affordable training on the internet. 17 hours of training, 305 plus videos, and you can get that for under $45. So it's a great value, and you can even download it immediately for $35, and that's with the 50% off discount. And so take advantage of that. Now tonight I've got a special product before we get into the topic that I wanted to make you aware of, and I'll be demonstrating this in the next couple webinars, and then I will have a special training webinar on this for those who purchase it. So if you decide to get this resource in the next couple weeks on November 12th, you can see there in blue at the top right, I'm going to have a 1-hour training to show you how to use this and get the most out of it. Now, why would I even talk about another product outside Logos? Well, one thing that everyone, and I think you all would agree, is having a digital library is important. And though Logos has a lot of resources, they certainly don't have everything. And when a good deal comes around, that's something that you can search and it's portable, that is something to consider. And so this is amazing. It's got 12,500 resources, Puritan, Reformations. It's got MP3s, it's got videos, and it's really a phenomenal savings too. That's one reason why I'm doing it. You save over $600. Now, some of these resources in here you just can't get access to anymore or easily because they go so far back to the Puritans and the Reformation and so forth. And the neat thing about these guys is they do offer payment plans that are interest free, so that's even better. So I love how they take that biblical command back in Israel when they were told to loan out money to their own people. They were supposed to do that interest free, but they were welcome to charge the unbelievers, the pagans, the Gentiles with interest. So that's pretty cool. And so let's demonstrate, and we'll do this with tonight's topic to make it even more fun. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go to my desktop, and I'm going to launch the link. And this is the little shortcut that you can use, and it gives you access to their search engine. And I'm going to click on New Search to show you how easy this is. Start New Search. And what I'm going to do, since tonight's topic is about husbands, I'm going to put in husband in the title search. So we're searching just for the titles. Now you can search for words in the book as well. But for tonight, I'm just going to search on the title. And we'll click the search button. Now, right away, you're going to get back some search results. And in this case, we got back 20 books or 20 resources. That's PDF books, MP3s, and WMVs. This is audio resources as well. Now, some of the audio resources are not from the Reformation, so you won't be hearing John Calvin or Martin Luther, but you will hear some godly Christians preaching sermons that are related to the topic. Now, the cool thing about this tool is you can turn off those audiobooks. I'm going to go ahead and click on Exclude MP3 at the top here. And then I've excluded 16 of those resources. And then I'm going to go ahead and exclude the WMV. All right, so I'm going to exclude those. There was none of those. And so now I have left is 4 resources, and you can see that right here. Okay, and so what I want to do is just click on the first resource, Duties of a Husband and Wife by Thomas Boston. And I'm going to click on that resource. And this gives you some information about it. You can see it's a PDF file and so forth. And so we're going to click Open Resource. And in a moment, that resource is going to open up, and here it is in your traditional PDF format. Now, I've had some bookmarks because I want to jump to some insights. So since our topic is on husbands, here's a great quote. Now, you can zoom in so it's easy to read, and this is a PDF file, so you can put this on any device that has PDF, that can use PDF. And this is a great, great quote. He says, "The rule of this love, or the explanatory cause of it, so that is, as Christ loved the church, that is the Christian husband's pattern, he must copy after it in the love of his wife. The church has many faults and blemishes, yet he loved her. He loved her sincerely, purely, and singularly, by all means seeking the good both of her soul and body, for which he exerted himself to the utmost. Even so should men love their wives in a like manner, expressing that love as much as may be in their conduct. And the reason of this love, even as himself, this cannot belong to the rule of it, as if the particle as was only a note of similitude pointing to the love of oneself, as a subordinate rule to which one is to conform in the love of his wife. For in that sense, one is to love every man of himself. But surely there is something here required, peculiarly in favor of his wife. And here's the key. Therefore, it points to the reason of it, namely that one is to love his wife because she is his other self, one flesh with him, or one body." Excellent insight there. And here's just another example. I can scroll down over here, and we'll just move over here. And you can see a little insight as well. It says, "It is not enough that we love our relatives and live peaceably with them from natural principles of good humor, or an acceptance to us for their personal qualities. If that is all, what do we more than others? Do not even the publicans or Gentiles so? It is necessary to prove us Christians that we be influenced to this by the example of Christ and the ordinance command of God having the weight on our conscience." So there's a great insight right there from that particular resource. And as you can see, pretty neat. So I'm going to go ahead and close this resource. And let me just do a couple more just so you can see the variety. Now, this is from Daniel Defoe. And I won't read anything here, but just to show you what's really neat about this one is this is a dialogue. And you can even see, if you look closer, let me zoom in, that this was the old print. See, it says HU. It looks like RF, but it really is pronounced husbands. That's how you translate that, being of the same opinion. So that's kind of neat how you can see that. And this one's a dialogue between a father and his daughters, and talking about marriage and so forth, and the kind of husband they should be looking for. So that's a really neat resource. Let me go ahead and close that one. And there's only 2 more to briefly show you. Here's the third one. Let me go ahead and open up this resource and bring it over. And this one is Husbands and Wives, Their Biblical Places and Duties. And again, I've highlighted a couple resources. Let me jump to this one. But with man, let me zoom in a little bit. But with man, swallowed up in the details of business, love is apt to prove too much of an episode. Enticed from the soft charities of his home and preoccupied with the anxieties and labors of the outside world, his heart is apt to harden under the influence which are so unfavorable to the development of the affections. We cannot, therefore, but approve the wisdom which lays him thus preeminently under the law of love and binds him with his holy obligations. What a great insight that one of the reasons the Lord gives us the wife and the way she is created and wired is to be that tenderness in the home, in the sanctuary. And so such the command to love his wife accordingly. And this is another good example here. I'll just read a couple more. The distinction of sex runs through the entire nature of both, so that they differ as truly in their spiritual as in their corporal structure. But this very distinction forbids the comparison between the two. What is called the weakness of a woman is really her strength. It springs from the more exquisite delicacy of her organization, both intellectual and physical, by which she is fitted for the more delicate and tender office which she is called to discharge. The dependence to which all this adapts her is not her degradation, but her glory. It betrays then only the folly of him who is unable to distinguish betwixt subordination and inferiority, and let me scroll up to the top there, and who fails to remember that subordination in office often obtains where there is absolute equality in rank. There is not a bitter to a true woman than this disparagement, which degrades her in the eyes of him she herself bound to honor. And so the whole point there is, in simple terms, is though different in function, equal in value. So this is a wonderful, wonderful resource that I really recommend and think you'll really enjoy. And it's a great complement to the Logos library because so many of these resources are just not available in the Logos program. So I hope you enjoyed that little preview. And like I said, on November 12th, we're going to go ahead and train all of you who've purchased this product for free. So that'll be very exciting and looking forward to that. So take advantage of this amazing set of resources, Puritan Reformation 12,000 books. Okay, and Sylvia just jumped in there and said, how beautiful. Absolutely. Great, great material. One more thing, or a couple more things real quick, just to give you a picture. When you're studying this doctrine of husbands and soon-to-be wives, this is part of the Studying Important Doctrine series. And I know some people get confused because they think, wow, part 11, you've been talking about husbands the whole time? No, actually, we have been talking about different topics that are important in the series. And so these are all the current Studying Important Doctrines that we have done. So from addiction to tongues to forgiveness and fear, the Christian work ethic, overcoming sin. And then one of the resources I would recommend as a complement to this one is marriage and divorce and remarriage, an excellent resource as well. All right, so let's begin now with this topic tonight. And let's talk about some essential resources for digging deeper. So what I'm going to do is jump over to Logos, and I'm going to open up my personal book. And as you can see here, we're going to be, I want to put a little warning out here tonight. And as a husband myself, this is words of wisdom and a reminder, and that this is a much easier topic to study than to practice. So we tread on delicate water here. So just a quick reminder on the materials. All right, now let's begin with some great resources that I think you're going to find helpful. The first one, let me go ahead and open that up, is produced by Lou Priolo, and he's got some really great resources. One of them is on the complete husband. So let me go ahead and launch that, and you can see why this is such a helpful book. So what he does is it's a practical guide to biblical husbanding, and it covers everything that you need. For example, how to love your wife, and some of these titles can be a little misleading. How to fight back without getting even, but you got to be careful. And he's a godly man. He's got some great biblical wisdom. The book is done very conversational, talking about being a spiritual leader, even some appendixes, because you may want to give this to an unbeliever as a great resource to help him just be a better husband. And so there's you could tell them it's a spiritual book. How to be saved is in here. Guidelines for asking questions of your wife. Common ways in which husbands sin against their wives. So the appendix is just as valuable as the resource. Let's see here. Is it still showing, Dan, as a blank screen? Because it should be pretty solid right now. I'm seeing a full screen. If anyone else is seeing a blank screen, just make a little comment. Okay, so this is a great resource. By the way, if you're on a wireless network, very important to be on a wired network, because sometimes the wireless network can be a little slow in responding. So hopefully that will improve. Thanks, Dan. All right, the next resource I want to bring up is, and let's see if we can get here. Okay. There we go, is The Fulfilled Family by John MacArthur. Now, this is going to cover more than just being a husband, but it is going to cover quite a few resources. And I think you'll enjoy that very much. Let me go ahead and open up that resource so you can see that firsthand. And we'll give it a second for the screen to refresh. Okay. And let's see, there we go. Now, this is the divine pattern for marriage. And as you can see, there's a whole section here on the role of the husband. You can see marriage before the curse, the issue of authority and submission, unity, marriage after the curse, the corruption of Satan, the confusion of society, and so forth. Some really, really good resources. The next one that's dedicated to husbands, I think you'll find very helpful, is Good Christians, Good Husbands by Doreen Moore. Now, this is Christian Focus, which usually puts out some very, very good resources. So let's go ahead and open up that one and take a look at it and see what makes this one good. Now, this is a really unique resource because what she does is she takes you through the marriages of some famous preachers like John Wesley, George Whitefield, Jonathan Edwards. And she begins from historical documents, talk about their perspective on marriage, their experiences in marriage, etc. And this can be a great way to just see, plus it's a great doorway into how things have changed so much in the roles of men and women. And so this is very conversational. It's got great quotes, which is very helpful. And just an all-around, very easy, wonderful resource to read together with your wife or just for your own edification. Now, this next one is produced, let me get that up here, Making Love Last, 365 Ways to Love Your Wife. And this is kind of a unique resource as well. So let me go ahead and get this one up and running. And let's see here. Now, this one is a little unique because what it does is it's in a devotional style, and it's going to take topics like romancing, and it's actually going to give you practical advice. Now, this is more application than it is theology, but nevertheless, it's a list of some great ideas. And some of those ideas you may not want to do exactly the way they prescribed, but it will give you some ideas that's appropriate, and then you can kind of modify that for your own situation, your own marriage, your own context. So, so that would be a really good resource to try out. So let me go ahead and close some of these down, and I think you'll enjoy that. And then the next one is Tony Evans has got a nice short little book. Tony Evans speaks out on the man's role in the home. It's a very short resource, not a difficult read. Let me go ahead and open that up. As you can see, he talks about becoming your wife's savior, becoming your wife's sanctifier, and becoming your wife's satisfier. And it's just a nice outline, got good cross-references, very easy read, something you could probably read in a night or a weekend. Very good resource. And very affordable. All right, and next one is What the Bible Says About Being a Man. And this is another aspect that's maybe not always focused on being a husband, but just about being a godly man. And so let me go back to this resource, open that up for you. And you can see this. Now, here's section 3 where the functions of a biblical man, who should I be? And it gives you some great things, the provider, the protector, and so forth. And the one who says you should cherish your wife. So some real good practical things. And then it's got some great appendixes in the back about God, thinking, and so forth, and just some creation of man and so forth, and the issue of submission. What does it mean? And so there's some good word studies back here. What does it mean to be submissive? And then there's some application even to the wives and so forth. So really neat resource, very unique in the way it's going to help you. Very easy read, not a difficult or heavy-duty book at all. The next resource, I want to include this. Now, this is part of the Theological Journal collection, but you can get it separately. So if you already have the theological journals, then you already have this. But you can buy this separately. Now, this is a journal of biblical manhood and womanhood, so it's going to obviously cover more than just being a husband. But what I like about it is it's tackling all these issues about manhood and womanhood. For example, here's an article on reflections on fatherhood. And so it's very, now again, this can be a book review sometimes. Sometimes it can be an analysis. But nevertheless, it's a very diverse resource. It will deal with things like women in the church and so forth, but very comprehensive. And I didn't want to leave aside this whole idea of biblical manhood. Another one that I think is, I have to mention this, is by R. Kent Hughes, Disciplines of a Godly Man. And this certainly is a phenomenal resource. As you can see here, let me open it up. It's the 10th anniversary, so this book has been around, sold many, many copies. And you can see here relationships, disciplines. In fact, let me talk about this: purity, marriage, fatherhood, friendship, the soul, the mind, devotion, prayer, worship, character, integrity, tongue, work, and perseverance, ministry, church leadership, giving, witness, discipline. And then some additional resources that'll be very helpful and so forth to help you. So pretty neat little resource. Like here's a devotional calendar, a personal reading survey, Proverbs regarding the tongue. So just a all and out practical book for men. So this would be one book that every man should have. Every father should teach his son. It's just so practical and helpful and make a great Bible study for among men. So just want to let you know those are some of the great resources that are available. All right. If there's no questions on those particular resources, let's begin to work through the program and start to use this. Now I'm going to move this personal book a little bit off to the window here. Okay, and let's see if we can get this going again. All right, so the first part in our presentation here after the books is defining a husband through word studies. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my visual filters. Now, you may be wondering why, but you're going to see in a little bit in a moment here. So what I'm going to do is I've already created these ahead of time. So when you get the video, you can just pause right here and then you can just copy what I have. I'm going to open up both. I have an Old Testament verbs, and we've done this in other webinars, but I at least want to get them both open for you. So there's the Old Testament, and let's get the New Testament side by side. So I'll give you a minute here just to take a look. But what we're doing here is we're using color codes to highlight all the verbs. So as we begin to study the roles of husbands and we look specifically at the actions of husbands, we're going to see those actions highlighted in color. They're going to jump off the page for us. So to give you an example, we'll go ahead and when we get to a passage, we'll go ahead and see that there. Now, the second thing, this is kind of like a preliminary step. You want to set up these visual filters before you begin to study this topic. Now, let me go ahead and close these down. Let me go next to note strategy, because as you study this topic, you're going to want to take notes. And I'm just offering here one possibility of organizing the information. So, for example, I have roles of husbands. I have relationships that husbands have, rewards for husbands, actions, speech, punishment, and additional insights. Now, this is just some of the preliminary ideas that I had. You certainly could break it down in a different way. But what I want to get across is that you want to organize before you study your notes. Begin to get a note out and make it available in your workspace. So as you're studying, you can just right-click, add something to your notes very quickly. Now, let's just walk through some of these right now. And the idea is through word studies. Now, one way to do a word study is simply to do a concordance search. So let me go ahead and open up the search window. So search, and then I did Bible search, and I have it right here. Now, the first search I did Adam or, in fact, let me zoom in here, Adam or, husband or Adam or man. Now, the reason I included Adam or man is because sometimes Adam is referred to and it's in the role of a husband, and sometimes a man is being referred to as man, but it is in the context of a husband role. So if you just search on husband alone, you will not get the full counsel of the Lord. So it's very important that you search all of these phrases. Now, let's just take this first one. I'm going to jump down to Genesis 1:28. Let me go ahead and open up that. And let me make sure I've got the visual filters turned on. So here we are, New Testament verbs. There they are. And so now you can see all the verbs color-coded. Now, very first thing